Hey friends, it's Judy Klock, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Middletown, Virginia. And tonight I do have a pre-recorded tutorial for you. I have another engagement this evening, so I had to plan ahead and pre-record this. So tonight we are going to be working with the adorable Hearts and Hugs. Let me just move my screen. There we go. The Hearts and Hugs bundle. It's got these great little critters, a mouse, some walruses, opossums, and I think a hamster or gerbil kind of thing. And some great little sentiments, thanks, sending a big hug, sending birthday wishes. So, and they come with, well, they don't come with the bundle, comes with the dies, not only for the images, but you got a great little banner here for the words. And then we've got some hearts, we've got some like leaves and grass and petals and some flowers and some additional hearts. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to make. So I paired the first card. This is our simple stamping card, and we're just going to use some just some simple stamping and a little bit of coloring, and we're going to add in the happy anniversary from the Sweetly Scripted stamp set. This was one of the online exclusives, and this has beautiful fonts with great, all around sentiments. Happy anniversary, congratulations, happy birthday, a million thanks, speedy recovery, and save the date. So just some really pretty fonts in there that I think you'll get a lot of use out of. And then we're going to step it up, and we're going to do a lot of die cutting. Oh, excuse me. We're going to do some embossing. We're going to emboss this layer. We're going to die cut. These are the Spotlight on Nature dies. We're going to do a little coloring with our blending brushes and our Stampin' blends. We're going to add some die cuts on there. And then we're just going to kind of step that one up. And those will be our two cards for this evening. Now, don't worry about getting measurements for any of this stuff. I will have measurements on my blog post, which usually goes up maybe late Thursday evening, Friday morning. I'm going to try to get it done again ahead of time. So it'll be ready to roll out as soon as this video is done posting. So let's go ahead and get started. So for our first card, our simple stamping card, I've got a piece of our Blackberry Bliss. Love this color. It is 8.5 by 5.5. I've scored it at 4.25. Excuse me, pollen. And we're going to go ahead and just give that a good burnish with our bone folder. For the inside, we've got a piece of our basic white. That's 4 by 5.25. I've got a piece of our pebbled path. That is 4 by 5.25. Another piece of Blackberry Bliss, that's 3.25 inches square, and another piece of basic white that is 3 inches square. So let's go ahead and get our stamping done. The first thing we're going to do is let's stamp our happy anniversary on, on the inside of our card. I don't know why I'm so tired today. Had a busy day. Now this is going to be a little bit wider than our paper. So I'm just going to kind of stamp that right in the middle. Okay, now, before I do anything else, let me come through here and wipe up. Hold on, just grab a baby wipes, always handy. I just don't want to get the ink on anything else. Okay, I thought I had some paper towels down here, but I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes my husband comes down here and helps me by putting things in different spots. But I did have paper towels down there to kind of dry this off. But I'll just grab a tissue for now. All right. If I had thought ahead, I would have put a piece of scrap paper down, but I didn't think ahead. All right, then I'm going to open up our Blackberry Bliss, and I am going to take that little tiny, it's a tiny stamp. It's got the 3 hearts on there. And we're just going to kind of stamp these above and below our happy anniversary. Okay, just kind of adding a little bit more interest to the inside piece. Now I'm going to come here. This is our piece of pebbled path, and I am just going to randomly stamp our hearts all over this piece. We're just going to put them on here kind of just we want to get some hearts on here. Again, it doesn't really matter where they go. And some of it in the center is going to be covered up. So that's okay. But this just, again, adds a little bit of interest to this front piece. So it's not just a plain piece of paper. And this is easy enough to do. It's kind of like making our own designer series paper. Not quite, but similar. All right, I'm just going to kind of stick some of these in these open spots. And again, we're going to have to come through and wipe all that up. Let's get all that ink up. Okay. Again, just make sure our works, but just don't want to get ink on anything else. Now I'm going to leave that open for a minute because we're going to stamp. I guess these are possums. I don't really know. I think that's what they are. I'm going to go with these are possums. That's what they look like to me. But they're very cute. Okay. I'm going to stamp our possums there. And before we color them, I want to add a little bit more of our hearts. We're going to add some here, and we'll add some here. All right, that's it. Let me close up the ink. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of coloring. And I've got our Pebbled Path Stampin' blends. I've got the light and the dark. Let me just make sure I grab the Pebbled Path because I also have Smoky Slate over here. Put that out of the way. All right, and I'm just going to take some time and I'm going to color these. It'll go pretty quick. And I'm going to use the light. Oh, sugar, I didn't want to do that. All right, you know what? Flip it over. No. We're going to leave the middle part white now because I screwed up. But that's okay. We can fix this. We'll leave that part white. Okay. And we'll do the same thing on her. Because I wasn't paying attention when I started coloring. But that's okay. It's my design. I can make it whatever I want to make it. Okay. All right, we're just going to color this in. And again, we're using that light Pebbled Path. Don't worry about like the brush strokes because actually we're going to come back in with our dark Pebbled Path and we're going to add some detailing with some what's going to like faux brush strokes. So this is all going to be fine. Okay, and we're going to, because we want to add a little bit of contour with our dark. I'm going to paint. Listen to me, paint. We're going to color those little noses in with a little dark flirty flamingo. Okay, we're just going to color all this in. Coloring is so therapeutic. It's just, and what I love about these blends, especially on this one, you don't have to be like great. You can just, I'm like not a great artist or great at coloring or any of that stuff, but blends are kind of forgiving. So that's kind of good to know, especially if you're like me and you don't really know what you're doing. It's always reassuring to have that little bit of, I guess, wiggle room, so to speak. Okay, so let's just do that. All right, now, actually, maybe we'll color in their middle face with the dark. Let's see what happens with that. I don't know how that's going to look, but we're going to try it. All right, there we go. That's okay. Okay, let's do this over here. Okay, there we go. It's a little bit different from my sample. That's all right. No, there's really no right or wrong way. It's just whatever you want to do. You can just like kind of go over like their little smile and kind of maybe the scruff around their neck. Okay. And then I'm just going to come and I'm just going to kind of like, just kind of add some random strokes because I wanted to make it look like fur. So I'm just going to kind of come, just kind of do this. No rhyme or reason, just kind of gonna add this, and hopefully that will look like a little bit more fur-like. Okay. And that is all the coloring that I am going to do for this. So let's go ahead and now put our pieces together. All right, we've got our inside piece. Let's go ahead and add that to the inside of our card. Whoop. All right. All right, and before we attach our pebbled path, I want to add some of this iridescent striped trim. This is such a pretty trim. I really, really like it. It's kind of one of my new favorite ribbons or trims from this catalog. I'm just going to kind of wrap it around. And you probably need about, I don't know, 5 inches, maybe 5.5. You don't need much because we're not going to go all across the full width of the back. And that's kind of why I do it that way. Kind of saves a little bit of ribbon. Now we're ready to put this on. We can put this on our card front. All right, I always secure my ribbon first. And you could use adhesives. Some people use like Scotch tape. I just don't recommend liquid glue for adhering ribbon. Some kind of adhesive, like a Stampin' Seal or Scotch tape or something along those lines. Okay, now let's go ahead and add our couple to our little Blackberry Bliss. I was going to say Berry Burst. I'm like, Berry Burst is not right. I knew there was some berry in there. It's blackberry. Too many berries. We got too many berries in pies with these colors. Pecan pie, pumpkin pie, peach pie. Okay, so we've got that. Let's go ahead and add this. I'm going to pop this up with some dimensionals. Grab these. I'm just going to put like one in the middle and then one on each corner. Okay, that's how we're going to do it. All right. Get that all off. Okay, put that right there. Just kind of center it, make sure it's straight. Okay, and then I'm going to come back with my trim, and I'm going to make like 2 bunny ears. And this is always the hardest part. And of course, whenever you're doing it for a video, it always never goes smoothly. There's always issues. All right. Let's do that. Go now. Obviously, those little things are way too long. This is where I kind of keep fussing with it until I get those loops kind of to the size I want. And that looks about right. All right. So now I'm going to trim them. I always like to kind of cut them on an angle. I just think that makes it look pretty. Okay. Now we're going to come back in with a glue dot. I can get my glue dots. Ooh, almost out of glue dots. Gotta get a new box. Okay, we're going to come here with our glue dot, and we're just going to kind of mask that up a little bit and put that right there. All right, and that is our first card. So simple stamping. All right, now for our second card, we're going to step it up just a little bit more. We're going to need some scraps of old olive and granny apple green. This is a 5.25 by, I'm sorry, 5.5 by 4.25 piece of Fleur de Flamingo. And our card base is a standard 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4.25. So this front piece is going to be the exact same size as our front. We've got our piece of basic white for the inside. That's 4 by 5.25. I've got scraps of Petunia Pop, Pretty in Pink, and Peach Pie. We're going to cut some flowers out. I've got another piece of basic white. We're going to do some stamping and some coloring. And we're going to get these two. I've already kind of done them because I don't want to spend the whole time coloring. And then I used the Spotlight on Nature. I used the 3 like dies. This isn't the smallest. I think it's like the second or third smallest, and then it goes out from there. So I've taken one of each pattern. We've got the like sort of the radiating stitches. We've got the three, like it kind of looks like a flower, and then we've got the dots and dashes. So I've cut these out of Granny Apple Green, Daffodil Delight, and Basic White. All right, let me grab one more piece. I thought I had another scrap of Basic White over here, but I don't. It seems like no matter how prepared I try to be, I'm not usually as prepared as I want to be. So I've got scraps here, I think. I had scraps here. All right. Let's go ahead. Now we want to stamp that cute little mouse and that cute little hamstery, gerbil-y critter. I don't know. There's some debate over whether it is a hamster or a gerbil. So what do you think? Is he a hamster or is he a gerbil? Or is he something totally different? Is he something completely different than what I think he is? I don't think it's a chipmunk. I don't think it's a chipmunk. Right? These are going to be a little too close to die cut, but you get the idea. All right, so now we're going to come by and let's color our little mouse, and we're just going to do that real quick. All right, I'm going to start him. So we're going to color his little nose in our dark flirty flamingo. He's clutching this heart, right? He's got this cute little heart. He's like holding your heart in his hands, hugging it. He's hugging the heart. That's why it's called Hearts and Hugs. Okay, and then, I would come in with some basic gray, like maybe some light basic gray, and then basically just start coloring the mouse, right? And so we're going to do that. Let's pretend that I've colored both of them. I colored a little hamster, chipmunk, gerbil creature. I started out with like light pecan pie, and then I did some dark pecan pie around the edges, and you'll see that in 1 second. Let me show you. So kind of what I did was I came here, I colored the mouse in with the light smoky slate, and then I did some outlining with the dark smoky slate. I kind of went over his whiskers and his eye, kind of like the edges, and then same with this little guy. I kind of did him in the light pecan pie, and then I just kind of went around the edges with that darker pecan pie. So let's go ahead and get everything cut. And we're also going to emboss this piece. So let's emboss this piece first. And I wasn't sure what was going to work, so I went with the exposed brick. So that was the one that I chose to do for this one. There were others. I guess I could have gone with like the swirl or those like dots, but I don't know. Those just didn't seem right. So I decided to go with the exposed brick. Don't know if that was a good choice or not, but that is what we went with. Oh, great. Dog hair. The joys of owning dogs. It's like, my glitter. Dog hair and everything. Like the pet owner's equivalent of crafter's glitter. It's everywhere. All right, so then we've got, this is going to be the front of our card, right? Let's move this out of the way. And let's come here and let's go ahead and add our dies. Okay, I'm going to add him. Now here's another little trick. This is something I like to do. Make sure he lines up where you want him. And then I have this like Post-it tape, and just a little piece is all you need to just kind of help hold that die in place. And I do have the magnetic sheet, but even with the magnetic sheet, sometimes they shift. And this is an old magnetic sheet because Stampin' Up! Doesn't offer a magnetic sheet anymore. They had one and it just wasn't working properly, so they discontinued it. But I have my old one and it seems to work. So, I'm an advocate. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I kept my old magnetic sheet and it seems to work. All right, here we go. So if you don't have a magnetic sheet, that 3M tape will really be a lifesaver for you because it will really hold your dies in place really well. And I have to pick up my ribbon because if not, my chocolate lab loves to eat anything that falls on the floor, whether he should or he shouldn't. My daughter was over today and we were working on a jigsaw puzzle and she dropped a piece, and before she could even pick it up, he scooped it up into his mouth. So, yikes. All right, let's go ahead. And now we've got our cute little critters that we're going to use on our card. We've got our piece that's embossed for the front. And now I did die cut the circles already. And then I went ahead and I did die cut the flowers and the stems. Now, these I did add the adhesive sheets to because these are pretty skinny. And it's sometimes when a skinny piece like this, it's a little hard to, to get that liquid glue on there. So adhesive sheets are great for those. And then I've just got all of our little flowers here. We've got 2 in the peach pie, 2 in the petunia pop, and 2 in the pretty in pink. So we've got a total of 6 flowers. Okay, now I thought this was a little plain. So I am going to come over here. Let me just see here. I'm going to do some coloring with our blending brushes. And for this, I definitely want a piece of scrap paper. Okay, I did take 2. Here we go. All right, so now I have here Granny Apple Green and Balmy Blue. And I want to color this circle, right? You're going to add a little bit of color to the circle with our blending brushes, which I just had. There they are. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. Okay, don't stick your finger on the ink pad. And I did it again. Okay, this is like just not my evening, apparently, because I just stuck it in there like 3 times. Some days I'm just a hot mess. All right, so I'm going to start kind of off on my scrap paper, and I'm just going to come here and I'm just going to add some color to like the bottom third of my white circle. And you can add as much or as little green as you want. That's totally up to you. And then we're going to come in and we're going to fill in the rest of that circle with some balmy blue. So try not to stick your fingers in the stamp pad. That would be bad. Again, start off and you want to kind of go in circles, in circular motion. Okay, and then we're going to add some balmy blue. Let's turn that around. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and add some balmy blue. Let's get a little bit more on here. All right. And just, again, as much or as little as you want. So that's good. So now we're ready to kind of put our card together. So let's get all of our stuff out of the way. Right? The more stuff we have around, the messier it looks. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to stamp here. So it's there when you need it, because the front is going to say sending a hug, a big hug. And I want to use my memento. I was doing so good keeping my desk organized, and then I don't know, I get involved in 12 different projects at once and the explosion happens. I'll clean it up this week. Or at least maybe I'll try tomorrow. I don't know. Anywho, all right, let's go ahead. Let's add this to the inside of our card. All right. All right, there we go. That's done. Now, when I do have an embossed piece, I like to use liquid glue because for some reason, I don't know, my Stampin' Seal kind of rips my embossed cardstock. So I find when I have embossed cardstock, liquid glue is just a better adhesive to use. Okay, maybe you have a different result, but this is what works for me. And remember, this is going to be completely even with our top and bottom and side edges. It's the exact same size as our card front. All right, got that on there. Now, let's go ahead and add our little mouse to our green circle. Okay, we're going to put him here. All right, he's got the heart. We're going to add our hamster gerbil chipmunk creature. Again, tell me what you think. What is he? I kind of think it's a hamster, but I'm willing to consider other options. Right, and now we've got our stems and our leaves and our grass. I'm going to put the old olive kind of behind, and I'm going to use my pick tool to get started with getting my adhesive off. So this is really okay. And we're going to put that here. Okay, see how nice that goes on now? No fuss, no muss, no liquid glue coming out anywhere. And then we're going to come back here with our granny apple green. Again, use your pick tool to take off. I have another little piece up here. Okay. And then just kind of layer this over. We kind of want them to be a little bit overlapping, but not too much. So just kind of put that where you think you want it. All right. Now for our flowers, we want to come in with our glue dots. And I hope I have enough. I do see another box on the table. That's good because I think I only have 2 left on here. So I'm going to alternate with a purple, maybe a peach, and then a pink, and then a pink. Let's see. Let's go with the big pink. I thought I had one more glue dot on here. Yes, there it is. Okay. Well, that roll of glue dots is done. We'll put that one up there. Just got to reach my next thing of glue dots. All right. And then let's go. We're going to do alternate again. We're going to do the purple. Put that one there. Oop, that peach one is going to be hidden. I should have put this one on first. Put that one there. Let's stick that one there. Okay, we'll put the purple one on top. And then we've got our last one is our pink. So we've kind of alternated the colors. Okay, now we're going to add our circles to our card front with Stampin' Dimensionals. Okay. All right, got our little mouse is going up top. It's going right up there. Then we've got our hamster gerbil chipmunk. Whatever you want to call it, that's what you can call it. It's your creature. You can call him whatever you want. I think it's a hamster. All right, we're going to put him here. Okay, we're going to take our flowers. We're going to put our flowers on. I think this one is my favorite. Okay, what is the weirdest place you have ever found a dimensional cover? I actually found one in my bed one time, my made bed. I have no idea how it got in there. I'm going to move this up just a little bit. Okay, because I want them to kind of... Now, one more thing I want to stamp is I want to stamp sending a big hug and our little hamster, gerbil chipmunk, whatever you want to call it. He's going to be holding this. Okay, so sending a big hug. I'm going to trim this down just a bit, and I'm just going to trim this with my scissors. I'm not going to do anything special. Let me see. Let me go here. Let's take a little bit off that end. And then, okay, and then going to kind of cut it close to the hug. Okay. Okay. So now, because this is little, right? Let me trim just a little bit more off. It's going to be pretty close to the words. All right. We are going to use a little bit of liquid glue on this. Okay. One, because it's kind of too narrow for seal, and I don't want to pop it up on dimensionals. I'm just going to use a little bit of glue. Okay, so there we go. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of the smallest rhinestones and we're going to pop them in the center of those flowers so they kind of pop, and add that little touch of sparkle. So just one in the center of every flower. I wish sometimes the putty end works well and sometimes it doesn't. It's really just sort of a crapshoot whether it's going to work or not. Today, it seems to be working. Watch, I spoke too quickly. All right, we still want to get one there behind there. So right there, there we go. And that is our second card with our with our hearts and hugs set. So we did our simple stamping card, which I put over here somewhere. All right, it's right here. So we did our simple stamping card where we just kind of colored that possum couple. We kind of added some hearts to add a little bit of interest. And then we went ahead and we did a whole bunch of die cutting and embossing with this card and made sending a big hug. So it's there when you need it. And that is it. Now remember, these bundles are on sale. These stamps and die bundles are on sale until June 30th. You can take an additional 10% off. They're already discounted 10%. You can take 10% off the discounted price. So it's not quite a full 20%, but you get it's 10% on the discounted price. Hey, listen, any amount you can save is always a great thing, right? That's it for me. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of hang out with me and watch what I do. I love doing this, so I hope that you do too. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next week. Bye now.